Hello there. Can you guess where we are? Looks a little familiar, doesn't it? We are back in the studio, back in Studio A, here to bring you halftime on the Hudson Sports News. We got a lot of stuff to talk about today. First off, hey, the Knicks are good, but at what cost? The Yankees suck. They're terrible, right? And we have Prove Your Point coming up. It's going to be a real hot, fresh segment. We're also introducing two new little bits of the show, Clip of the Week and a walk along the Hudson. So be ready for all that and more on this week's segment of Halftime on the Hudson. As I said, welcome to another segment of Halftime on the Hudson. I'm Connor Kurpat.
And I am Nick Vete.
And let's get right into things. So breaking news this week is that the Knicks are actually good. Yeah, I couldn't believe it myself either, but the team is on a 7-game win streak, with Julius Randle leading the team in points in 5 out of those 7 games. The team sits at 5th in the Eastern Conference ahead of the Boston Celtics, and they are only a half a game behind of the Atlanta Hawks. Nick, tell me, are the New York Knicks the real deal?
I think they're a real deal, and I think a lot of the credit has to go to Coach Tom Thibodeau this season. I mean, they have just been playing great, and I think so much of it is just the fact that he has infused a different kind of energy, a different kind of work ethic into this team, and I think you're seeing the production out on the court night in and night out.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's definitely the reason for a lot of their success is the coaching. I will 100% agree with that. And Julius Randle has been playing absolutely fantastically. Well, it seems, though, that for a lot of New York fans, in order to get a good New York Knicks team, you had to trade the quality of the New York Yankees. They have been playing absolutely mediocre as of late. They currently possess one of the worst records in the MLB, in the American League, with a record of 5-10. Now, Brian Cashman commented on this, and he believes that, patience is needed. It's still early in the season. And he said that it was 15 games that he would like to forget. And I tell you what, as a Yankee fan, these are 15 games I'd like to forget too. The team looks absolutely terrible. It looks like they don't want to step on the field. And I don't know if it's a problem with the coaching, with Aaron Boone. I don't know if it's a problem with the players, lack of motivation, or what have you. But the team is inconsistent. The pitching has not been fantastic. It looks to be the same pitching as last year. And the team all around just needs to improve if they hope to be the same team that they were last year. Nick, tell me, what are your thoughts on this mediocre Yankees team?
Well, Connor, I'm not usually one of those guys that, gets upset about what happens in April. There's a lot of baseball still left to be played, and I like to usually get into some of the later months into the season. Let us get to May, let us get to June, let us get to July before we start hitting the panic button. Some of these issues, though, like you mentioned, are things that this team has consistently dealt with. The starting pitching, while it still needs some time, has not been fantastic to this point, and the lineup has just been atrocious. It's been a lot of home run hitting, or attempts to hit home runs, and as a result, runs aren't being scored at the clip they need to be scored at. And there's a lot of issues. On top of that, the defense has also not been up to par. So a lot of issues that need to get fixed. Is it coaching? Is it the players? Is it the personnel? I don't know, but at this point in the season, the Yankees have not looked good.
Yeah, and the issue is that we don't know where the problem originates from, and that's a problem that the Yankees are going to have to find the answer to that question pretty soon if they hope to compete and get back to the level that they were at, because they really do not look like the same team. As we said, so much inconsistency all around.
Next, we're going to be talking about Anthony Davis, as he will look to return to the Lakers lineup on Thursday against the Dallas Mavericks. After a 9-week absence due to a calf strain, Davis, who was averaging 22.5 points per game, 8.4 rebounds per game, while also shooting 29% from three-point range prior to his injury, will start when he returns, but will be under a minutes restriction of about 15 per game, according to head coach Frank Vogel. Connor, what do you think of the Lakers' position right now? They're in 5th in the West. They're getting Anthony Davis back. LeBron will be back soon. Are they still the heavyweights in that division?
Yeah, listen, I think there's no doubt about it, right? Sure, you can be worried about the team and their health and their injuries, but I think that once we get to playoff basketball and the team is healthy, they're going to be just fine because they have the chemistry about them. That team gets along really well, they play great, and they are all fantastic players. And yeah, like I said, you could be worried about the health issue, right? Is this team going to stay healthy even if we do get to the playoffs? I think, though, if they do that, there's nothing to be worried about. I think this is a fantastic basketball team, and they look like a team that could potentially repeat and get another title this year.
I agree. And when you look at the rest of the conference, too, Donovan Mitchell just went down with an injury on the Jazz. Jamal Murray is out for the season on the Nuggets. So there go two top Western Conference teams. So outside of that, the Lakers are looking pretty good, along with a couple other decent teams in the conference. The 49ers are going to have a big decision to make come draft day, as they will be selecting their potential quarterback of the future. Many insiders have continuously linked Mac Jones to the 49ers, but both Justin Fields and Trey Lance are likely to also be available when the 49ers are on the clock come April 29. Connor, If you were in the 49ers position, who would you be taking with that 3rd overall pick?
Listen, it's hard because there are so many good players available, right? But I think Justin Fields is one step above the rest. I think Trey Lance is good. He has a very, very high ceiling, but who knows how long it's going to take for him to get there or if he can get there at all. Mac Jones, I'm not as sold on. I don't know how much of a player that I like out of him, the talent that I see. I just think he was on a very fantastic offense in Alabama. He had guys like Devonta Smith, right, who was the Heisman winner that he was. I think that team was great. So I think a lot of Mac Jones' credit belongs to his offense in general and not necessarily him. I think Justin Fields, though, is a great player, and I think a lot of people sleep on him just because of the season that he had overall this year and the weird season that was NCAA football with COVID-19. But I think Justin Fields is the real deal, especially with the way that he performed in that game against Clemson when he blew out Trevor Lawrence.
And, when you think about the 49ers, too, and just, the general sentiment has been Kyle Shanahan is a guy that likes quarterbacks that can come in, be pocket quarterbacks, and he thinks that he knows he's going to be able to win with Mac Jones. That being said, I don't know if that's necessarily the right reason to take a quarterback in that position. I think it would be better to take someone who not necessarily know, but who may be better in the long run, set your organization up for the long-term future. And I think that both those guys, Trey Lance and Justin Fields, may have higher ceilings than Mac Jones.
Completely agree with you there, definitely.
Kamaru Usman and Jorge Masvidal will be meeting for the second time this weekend at UFC 261 after facing each other last summer on Fight Island. Usman comes into this matchup as the favorite after winning their first fight by decision. Connor, you're the UFC expert out of the two of us. What's your take on this fight?
My take on this fight is that Kamaru Usman's going to win again. And sure, Jorge Masvidal is a great fighter, and I think what he did in their last matchup was so impressive because he came in and he fought with only a week or so preparation. That in and alone, and to stay and make it to a decision with a fighter like Kamaru Usman is so impressive. But I think Jorge Masvidal is aging. I think Kamaru Usman just came off of a great victory about 2 or 3 months ago. So I think that's going to give Kamaru Usman the edge. Now, I do think there are other fighters in that division that could potentially beat him. Colby Covington immediately comes to mind, a guy that I think deserves a shot to face Kamaru Usman just because of what he's been able to do. But I think in this fight, what we're going to see is Kamaru Usman, again, potentially taking Jorge Masvidal to the ground and winning either by a decision, by a submission. But I can't see any real way that Jorge Masvidal wins this fight, especially after seeing what happened last time.
I also think Usman is the heavy favorite in this fight. And do you think that we could be looking at a Colby Covington matchup with Usman if Usman should find a way to get past Masvidal here?
I think that makes all the sense. Whether or not that happens, because I know there is some beef with Kamaru Usman and Colby Covington. Colby Covington said, "I deserve a shot." Kamaru Usman responded with, "Show me something," even though Colby Covington is the #1 ranked fighter in that division. So I think that it makes the most sense. Will it happen? I don't know. It's the UFC. Who knows what Dana White's got in his mind? I feel like he's always trying to make these magical matchups that draw in the biggest pay-per-view viewership. But I think that makes the most sense. So that's something I'd definitely like to see down the road. I think that would be a fantastic fight.
I agree.
Everyone, thank you so much for joining us today to hear the news and our takes on the news. We really appreciate you sitting here with us. Now what we're going to do is cut to what we call the clip of the week. This time what we're going to do is show a fantastic clip of Joey Votto making an incredible triple play that doesn't even seem to make sense. And then after that, we're going to go to a new segment that we have that's called Walk Along the Hudson. We got Matt Spirio talking to Brianna Kutros about an article that she did for Center Field that revolved around the men's baseball team. Then we're going to kick it to Prove Your Point before you come back here and talk to us about Marist Sports. So we'll see you guys in just a little bit.
And now the infield in all around save for Votto. He holds on Reyes at first. High kick. A rope caught by Votto. Makes the tag in the belly. And a little slow coming home. A head first slide. Rosario in. And they get the line drive double play.
Thank you, Connor. I'm down here at the Hudson today, and we are talking with Marist center field representative Brianna Kutros. She's a beat writer for the Marist baseball team. Brianna, I saw your most recent article this past week about Marist baseball. Tell me a little bit about it.
So the article I wrote is a preview look into the season for Marist baseball. The season just got put back. We got lifted off the pause. So baseball is one of the few teams that just got lifted and allowed to play. So they just played this weekend.
That's awesome. Now, I know that you interviewed a couple players, a couple guys who are looking at the MLB draft. Tell me a little bit about what you learned from them, some of those interviews, and what went on.
Yeah, so I interviewed two pitchers, both juniors, Ryan and Arubio, and both of them said, specifically Ryan, that last year when Marist was put on lockdown and all MAC sports were canceled, Ryan walked up to Arubio and said, dude, this is our time and this is it. And they've been training ever since to look into the MLB draft this year.
Now, Brianna, Marist has had 19 players in team history that have been drafted. Most recently, Scott Bosch in 2017. What do you think? Do you think the chances are good? We have maybe number 20 or 21?
I think it is 100% possible. Both boys are determined and passionate about baseball, and they really want it. And also, Arubio has family ties. He already has a family member that is currently in the MLB, so definitely has a little bit of influence on him.
Now, we talk about some of these great pitchers, maybe looking at the draft, but the offense, they've looked great. The offenses look really good starting off. Tell me a little bit about what's going on with them.
Yeah, it really starts off in the box. I think Brian Hart, he's a great hitter. He last year led the team in slugging percentage, and also the Armitage brothers, Robbie and Reese, both seniors right now, and they're just all doing great. I think those are the three top hitters for Marist this year.
That's awesome. Now, like you said, Marist, they're off to a 4-1 start. They have a doubleheader today. They won their first game. Got another one going on pretty soon. Are you excited? Are you enjoying Marist baseball? Are you excited for things that are going on?
I'm definitely excited. Today's game, actually, in the fourth inning, they scored 11 runs just in one inning. There was only one out in the game. They're off to a really hot start. They swept Peters, only lost one game over the weekend, and I think that their season and a MAC championship is definitely there for Marist baseball.
That's awesome, Brianna. Now, I mean, this is just a great example. Marist Center Field, we get the inside scoop of these stories. Brianna, we really appreciate your time here today. We love the things you're doing with Marist baseball. We can't wait to have you back and, tell us a little bit more about what's going on.
Yeah, I'm super excited just for the season and to continue to cover Marist baseball. The team is great. The guys are great. Coach Traz is great. He is really inspirational with the boys and keeping them on their toes after being put on pause and just having this long wait of not being able to play. And I think that they're very, very hungry, and a MAC championship is definitely possible.
I think it's definitely possible too. So if anyone wants to read more center field stories, our step sibling here, center field, as opposed to us here at MCTV, you can check more of that at maristcenterfield.com. But that's all I got for you for now. Otherwise, I'm going to throw it back up to Connor in the studio. He's got more fun stuff coming for you guys.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another segment of your favorite game show. It's my favorite game show. It must be yours, too. Prove Your Point. Today, we have two very fantastic guests on the show. Let's go say hi to them right now. Matt and Zach. Hello, gentlemen. First of all, I'd like to address by saying, Matt, fantastic job on your little walk along the Hudson with Brianna Kutros. You guys did a fantastic job.
Thank you, Connor. That's not the only thing that I'm good at. I'm also good at debating sports, and I'm ready to get to that today.
You know what? That would be true if you had won yet, but I'm pretty sure you haven't, right? I'm pretty sure you haven't won yet.
Last semester, yes. Mm-hmm. This semester, I'm still searching for that first win, but okay. Feeling good today. I can't lie. I feel good.
That's good. How about you, Zach? You feeling good about today?
Yeah, I got that win against Nick earlier in the semester, in a little comeback fashion. So even if I start slow, I'll be finishing strong.
Oh, I like that. I love the energy. I love it. Yeah, beating Nick was a huge win. Anytime you could out-debate Nick, that is a huge, huge win. Well, gentlemen, let's jump right into it. And my first question, so I'd like to address, too, to everyone watching, the first thing that we're going to be talking about today, the whole thing that we're going to be talking about is the NFL draft, because we're only about a week away. And it's a lot of fun. It's very exciting. We're all excited for it. So that's going to be the whole specificness of today's. I don't even know if specificness is a word, but I'm going to use it. That's going to be what everything in today's Prove Your Point is about, the NFL draft. So let's jump right into it. First, I want to know, who should the Jets draft at number 2? Zach, if you want to take things away, go right ahead.
Yeah, I'll start it off. So my answer is Justin Fields. I know Zach Wilson's a very trendy pick now, but Justin Fields is the proven player. He started off at an SEC program in Georgia after playing at a big-time high school in Georgia. And then when he transferred to Ohio State, he immediately won the quarterback job. And throughout his time in Ohio State, he went 22-2. He made 2 college football playoffs. including this year in the college football playoff, smacking Clemson and Trevor Lawrence, who was the presumed number 1 pick. He got popped in the ribs in the second quarter and came back and threw for 6 total touchdowns in the game to show his competitive drive and spirit. And that's the exact kind of person who would fit in the New York market. And the other options just don't intrigue me. Trevor Lawrence will be off the board. Zach Wilson's kind of a wild card. I get why he's trendy because he has this little like showboat throws and stuff. And then Trey Lance is another wild card. But both Zach Wilson and Trey Lance have injury history that has plagued them, and they both also have inconsistency. Like Zach Wilson was turnover prone early in his career, and Mac Jones, I don't think he's in the discussion for the second pick. So I think given all the uncertainties in the other places, I think Justin Fields the most surefire pick for the Jets.
Very, very interesting. I like that. I like how we're starting off. That was a good take right off the bat. Matt, go ahead, take it away.
First of all, Connor, I think specificness. I think theme is the word you were looking for.
But anyways, that was
anyways,
the word I was looking for.
I'm gonna go in a different direction here. I think Zach Wilson makes the most sense for the Jets. If you saw his pro day, he can make every throw with ease. A lot of the quarterbacks who've been successful in the draft in recent years, Mahomes, Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, guys who underperformed in college, didn't have a lot of help, but had the arm talent, got to the league and looked really good. I like Fields. He projects similarly to Dak Prescott and maybe Deshaun Watson, who are very good quarterbacks, but I think Wilson's ceiling in terms of what he could do, he's a better passer, better just passer of the ball, a lot more efficient, better rhythm. And in the Jets offense is going to be heavily West Coast with Mike LaFleur. It's very simplified for him. He sees the field better than Fields does. He gets through his progressions quicker. The Jets are looking for a guy who is going to raise the ceiling of this team because they have nothing. I think Fields is a great floor raiser. He fits in a system where there's a lot of pieces already in place. But for the Jets, they need a guy who's going to elevate the ceiling. And I think Wilson has the higher ceiling and can take the Jets to higher levels than any of these other quarterbacks can. So I would take Wilson.
Listen, you guys both gave me 2 really great reasons why you think your quarterback of choice should get taken number 2 by the Jets. And man, both these quarterbacks are really talented, right? I mean, Zach Wilson is heavily favored. He's probably the number 2 ranked quarterback overall over Justin Fields. But Justin Fields showed great stuff, especially when it came to that playoff game when he smacked around Trevor Lawrence and Clemson. So Jets essentially have all the eggs in their basket. They can pick whatever they want. But who should they pick? I mean, that's the question. And I think I'm going to have to give Matt this round. I think Zach Wilson is the choice here. I think even though Justin Fields is a fantastic quarterback, I think, Matt, you're right. He has to be plugged into a system that has weapons. And I think that Zach Wilson has a very, very, very high ceiling. And that's the type of player that the Jets need. So great stuff there, gentlemen. Next question I got for you is, should the Bengals take a wide receiver or an offensive tackle in this year's draft? Matt, go ahead.
So I'm going to start this off with a quick little. I can't show you the graphic, but something that I saw this week. It was a little image of Joe Burrow throwing a football, and it's if Penny Sewell is in front of Joe Burrow and he's throwing it to T. Higgins or Tyler Boyd, ball is completed. If we take Joe Burrow and we put a different tackle in front of him, anybody else, and we're having him throw the ball to Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow's other knee is going to be taken out. This is a situation where I think everyone wants to make this pick for all of the wrong reasons. They played together in college. They did historical things. Justin Jefferson came out last year and looked awesome. And it was, it's a fantasy pick. Let's get Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow back together. The Bengals have 2 really good receivers. Boyd and Higgins are both really solid. They both would have probably gone over 1,000 yards last year had Burrow been healthy. But if we don't put lineman in front of Joe Burrow, he's not going to be able to throw the ball to anybody. The last quarterback this happened to, this was back in 2015. The Colts are sitting there with Andrew Luck. We have to protect Andrew Luck. We have to protect Andrew Luck. And then with the 25th pick, they took Philip Dorsett. Philip Dorsett's not really playing football anymore. Neither is Andrew Luck, because they decided, okay, let's go get more weapons, and it resulted in multiple careers ending. And if the Bengals make that mistake, I don't know how long Joe Burrow is going to last behind that offensive line.
Fair points. That the ability to pass protect was certainly a problem for the Bengals this year. That's the whole reason why Joe Burrow got hurt. He can make the throws. We know he can, but does he have the time? He certainly didn't this year, and that's what led to that early end to a season for him. But Zach, I'm interested to hear what your reasons are for why you think a wide receiver could potentially be taken by the Bengals in this year's draft. Take it away.
Yeah, so I'll start off by saying why I think offensive tackle is not the way to go. In 2019, in the first round, the Bengals drafted Jonah Williams. Jonah Williams came out of Alabama. He was number 1 tackle in his class. He hasn't really played much in his career because he tore his ACL his first year, and then he was battled through injury last year. And so they already have a tackle, and they just signed Riley Reif away from the Minnesota Vikings this year. So they have an entirely new, proven tackles on both sides. I don't think adding Penei Sewell would be the best use of their resources after giving a first-round pick 2 years ago, a big-time contract to Reif, and now you have 3 tackles and only 2 on the field. I don't think that's the best choice. I think Jamar Chase would be the perfect fit in Cincinnati. Pair him back up with Joe Burrow. They had 20 touchdowns together the last time they played. And we have to remember that Jamar Chase played in an offense that had Terrence Marshall, who will be a first-round pick this year, Justin Jefferson, and was by far the best player in that group. If this was last year's group, put him with Ruggs, Judy, CeeDee Lamb, and then add Devontae Smith this year too, and Jalen Waddle, he projects to be the number 1 receiver of all of them. And he also projects to be a Julio Jones type receiver. And you can never have enough weapons. 2 wide receivers in the NFL this day is not going to get it done. You need at least 3 solid ones on the field. If you have Joe Burrow with his new improved offensive line, you have Jamar Chase on the outside as a big body receiver, and then you have T. Higgins, another big body receiver, and then another Tyler Boyd guy who's a little flashier slot kind of guy. You have 3 really good players, and Joe Burrow can take off in that offense.
Oof, that was good stuff. That was good stuff. And that's kind of hard to look past, right? I think something else that we also forget when it comes to this draft is how deep that offensive line group is. I think, personally, that the Bengals can wait till the 2nd or even 3rd round to get an offensive lineman. They could potentially plug in and play week 1. That's how good this offensive line class is. So that is why, Zach, I'm going to give you this round. I think pairing Jamar Chase back with Joe Burrow just sounds too good. Yes, you're getting blinded by that whole, we're putting the teammates back together, let's see what they can do. But at the same time, Jamar Chase is an incredible talent, and Joe Burrow is a phenomenal talent. Those 2 guys back together in the orange and black stripes, they're going to do fantastic things. And I think that, Zach, as you said, they've added some pieces to that offensive line, right? And I think that they can get someone, like I said, around 2 or 3. Come, plug them in day 1. So, Zach, I'm going to give you this round. Great stuff. So now we find ourselves in the 3rd round, the best round of Prove Your Point, where it comes down to the wire. So here's my question for both of you fine gentlemen. Which team should trade up for a quarterback in this year's draft? Zach, you can take this one away.
Yeah, I think the obvious answer is the New England Patriots. This offseason, the New England Patriots spent $139 million, the most by any team in the history of the NFL in a free agency offseason period. The Patriots offense now has weapons on the outside. They added Nelson Aguilar, Kendrick Bourne, the 2 tight end system with Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith, who both might be top 5 tight ends in the league. Now they got a backfield. Cam Newton was not up to what we thought of Cam Newton last year. And with all the stuff they added on defense now too, and Judon and Mills, and now they have Dante Hightower, who's a defensive captain coming back. They are the closest thing out of any of these teams that could trade up to a quarterback to playoff ready and contention ready. And they need a quarterback, and they don't necessarily have to play him right away. But once they get down into the season, Trey Lance or Justin Fields, because we assume that Mac Jones probably going 3, Zach Wilson's probably going 2, and Trevor Lawrence probably going 1. Trading up to get either Lance or Fields to put into that offense with Lance's running abilities, and he has 1 turnover in his 3 years in college, or Justin Fields, who only has 2 losses. Put those with Bill Belichick. Those are 2 traits that Bill Belichick will succeed with, and they have the greatest opportunity for both short-term and long-term success.
I think the whole Patriots trading up to get a quarterback is something that a lot of fans want to happen, especially Patriots fans, because I think they want to see that revitalization of what can Belichick do now with another young quarterback, because we saw how he made Brady grow up, how Brady became what he was. People want to see if Belichick can replicate that. But, Matt, I'm interested to hear, what do you got to say? What team do you think should trade up for a quarterback in this draft?
I think that the obvious answer, and this one hits a little close to home for me, is the Denver Broncos. I think they've been in a situation for a while. They haven't made the playoffs in the last 5 years. They've seen 2 really, really talented quarterbacks come into the division, in Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert. They have kind of floated quarterback picks in the past. They fell into the Paxton Lynch pick. He slid into the end of round 1. They traded up to get him. Drew Lock fell into round 2. They have not made a commitment on a guy in a long time. Since Peyton left, they have not really made a commitment on a quarterback. And if they are going to compete in the AFC West, they need somebody better than Drew Lock. I think Drew Lock does deserve maybe a little bit more time, but an opportunity that they have right now where there's going to be a really talented quarterback potentially on the board at 4, and they only have to come up, six picks to come get someone like Justin Fields, who potentially could be there at 4 from an Atlanta team that really wants to trade back. There's so much talent on the Broncos offense. They have Judy, they have Sutton, Noah Fant, Melvin Gordon, and KJ Hamler looks good. There's a lot of guys in there, and the O-line looks decent for the first time. They're missing a guy in the middle. They addressed issues on defense. Maybe they were saying people were saying maybe they should go corner. They bring in Kyle Fuller. They have addressed every single other issue. It is time to make a commitment on a quarterback in a way that John Elway never has. And I think that kind of tough decision that the Broncos have not made in a long time is what is ultimately going to decide whether they ever get over this hump of being like the second or third best team in the AFC West or try to compete to win divisions, because Patrick Mahomes is going nowhere. So it's time to make a decision.
Oh my, you guys finish strong. I tell you that much. This is a really tough one to pick because on one hand, the Patriots need to get another quarterback because that division now has become so competitive. The Jets are building for the future. The Buffalo Bills are good. The Dolphins are good and are still building for the future. So if the Patriots wants to stay in contention, they're going to have to get a quarterback now. But I think that quarterback group in the AFC West is just so phenomenal as well. Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, even my boy Derek Carr, right? The worst quarterback in that division is Drew Lock, and there's no arguing that. The Broncos, as you said, have struggled to make decisions when it comes to the quarterback. And John Elway is supposed to be the quarterback guru. He's supposed to figure out what quarterback fits the team, and he's never been able to do so. And I think that because of what we've seen in the Broncos in the past, especially this past offseason, how hard they were trying to push to get Deshaun Watson, I think that makes them the best team and the most probable team that I would think should trade up to get a quarterback. Matt, congratulations. You've won this week's segment of Prove Your Point. Do you have any closing remarks?
Yeah, I mean, coming off a loss, sometimes you gotta take a look in the mirror. You gotta think about certain things, and I know I certainly did that. I'm sure John Elway's been doing a lot of that, and I think together, me and the Broncos, and we've had a lot of thinking to do. Connor, you made the right decision today. I proved my point. But I'm hoping that all the debates that I laid forth today, because I feel so strongly about them, they'll come to fruition as well. And Zach, great competition as always. I appreciate it, but it was time for me to get back on top.
Yeah, it was. Zach, do you have anything to say about that? Do you have anything to say about this loss? It was a rough one, but
I was a little surprised you picked the Broncos considering they're your Raiders rivals and all, but my point will be proved eventually when John Elway botches this again and doesn't pick a quarterback or picks the wrong quarterback. So I'll be the long-term winner. He can have the night win. I'll be the futuristic winner.
Taking the high road, but also potentially being a little bit petty about it. I love it. I think if there's one thing that is true in this world, it is that John Elway will botch the quarterback situation in Denver. So we'll see if he does do that. But you know what? I'm expecting better things from him this year. I think he should trade up and get a quarterback. We'll see what happens, though. Listen, guys, thank you so much for joining me today on Prove Your Point. Now we're going to kick it back to the studio with me and Nick to discuss Marist Sports. See you there. Hello, everybody, and welcome back. I hope you enjoyed some of the new segments that we implemented into the show, and I hope you enjoyed Prove Your Point. That's always a blast. So now we're going to talk about Marist Sports with our Red Fox Rundown. Nick, tell me what's going on with men's lacrosse. I know some stuff's been going on. What happened?
Well, the men's lacrosse has fortunately been able to get back onto the field. Obviously, we were under that campus pause, which left a lot of the sports teams just in a moment of flux, not really sure what was going to happen. So they got their first win of the season out of conference against Detroit Mercy, and then they came back this past Tuesday, got their first in-conference win against Quinnipiac, 14-9 in that game. So they start out with 2 wins on their season, and they also come into the season ranked 6th in the nation. So pretty impressive. Out of all the NCAA Division I programs, they are at the top. They are within the top of the pack at this point.
That's awesome. That's really great stuff. I'm excited to see. I'm happy that our athletes can finally get back on the field after that pause. That must have been really hard for a lot of them, but it's really exciting to see. And great job, men's lacrosse. Let's go get it this season. Let's get after it.
Absolutely. So some other sports that are taking place right now as well. That same Tuesday, the men's baseball team had a doubleheader against Siena. They won both of those games easily. The first one they won by a score of 16-1, and the second one by a margin of 16-3. Currently on the season, they are 5-1. We'll now go over to the women's lacrosse team, who has also been able to get underway. They've lost 2 of their first matchups since their games resumed. They lost today, the 21st, by 1 goal to Niagara, so a tough loss in a close game, close, hard-fought game. They currently sit at 2-2 on the season. And then another team that we go into here is the women's softball team. They sit at 2-4 to start the season. Plenty of games left to be played, but those are some other teams that are currently getting back into the swing of things game-wise.
Nice. I'm excited to see our Red Foxes take the field again. Like I said, it's good stuff. Good stuff. And even though some of the starts might not be great, I know women's softball 2-4. I'm excited to see how they're going to bounce back and see how they're going to take on the rest of the season. I know it's going to be hard for them, though. They have a lot of double headers coming up. I know most of their season, as of right now, is going to be double headers so they can catch up to their other competitors. But it's going to be a lot of fun to see. So stay tuned and make sure you check out our softball and baseball team.
Absolutely. And one final team that we want to keep our eye on, too, is the water polo team, which they're getting their season underway today against Siena. There's a great article up on the Centerfield website right now about the team's recruitment strategy, what they've been doing to bring in talent, and a lot of it coming from the state of California, coming all the way here to the Hudson River, Poughkeepsie, New York, playing for the Red Foxes. So definitely check that article out. They're getting their season underway today.
Yeah, and with that in mind, make sure you check out all of the Centerfield's work. They do really great stuff there. As you saw, Brianna Kutros talked to us about the baseball team and the story that she did there. If you want to read great stories like that, or the one that Nick mentioned about the Cali pipeline that we have from athletes coming from California to here to play water polo, make sure you go on Marist Centerfield, read the stories, because these students here are doing a fantastic job. Definitely. So, Nick, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you had a good time.
Anytime. So great to be back in studio.
Oh, feels great to be back in studio. I hope you guys had fun sitting with us again in this studio. It was an absolute blast. So, from me and from
myself, Nick Veta.
Yes, sir. We want to wish you a great night and a great rest of the week and whenever we see you again. So, thank you so much for joining us here in the studio, and we'll catch you next time.